Imagine this. It's January 1925. You're in a remote Alaskan town, the sun hasn't risen in weeks, and temperatures hover at 50 degrees below zero. Word spreads, children are dying. A deadly infection is sweeping through your community, and the only thing that can stop it, the antitoxin, sits hundreds of miles away, across frozen wilderness, unreachable by train or plane. There's no cavalry coming, no modern miracle, just sled dogs and the men who run them, standing between life and death. What followed wasn't a storybook tale. It was a desperate, real-time race against nature, time, and disease. Over 600 miles, through deadly storms, across cracking ice. A relay of unsung heroes, both human and canine, forged a lifeline that saved an entire town. This is the true story of the Great Race of Mercy, how one of the coldest winters in American history became the backdrop for one of its warmest examples of courage, grit, and hope. In the heart of a brutal Alaskan winter nearly a century ago, a real-life drama unfolded that captivated the world and still echoes with relevance today. The year was 1925. In the tiny snowbound town of Nome, Alaska, children were dying from diphtheria, a deadly bacterial infection that suffocates its victims. The town's small hospital was out of usable antitoxin, and without it, a full-blown epidemic threatened not only Nome's 1,400 residents, but thousands in surrounding villages. With ice-choked ports and storm-ridden skies, modern methods of transportation, planes and ships were ruled out. There was only one way to deliver the life-saving serum across more than 600 miles of frozen wilderness: by dog sled. This was not a quaint Alaskan tradition. It was a desperate necessity. What followed became known as the 1925 Serum Run to Nome, or the Great Race of Mercy, a relay of over 20 dog sled teams braving sub-zero temperatures, howling blizzards, and near-impossible odds to save lives. This true American epic showed the very best of human and animal courage under the harshest conditions imaginable. An invisible killer. To those who grew up in a post-vaccine world, diphtheria may sound like a relic of history, but in 1925, it was a deadly threat. Spread through coughing, sneezing, and even shared utensils, the infection was swift and merciless, especially in children. Dr. Curtis Welch, Nome's only physician, recognized the early signs and knew that without fresh antitoxin, the town was in grave danger. The expired doses he had were useless. In late January, he sent urgent telegrams to the Alaska Territorial Governor and the U.S. Public Health Service. The window to act was shrinking by the hour. Anchorage, located over 1,000 miles away, held a supply of 300,000 units of serum. The challenge was not finding the medicine, it was delivering it in time. With the usual methods ruled out, officials considered using aircraft, but Alaska's only planes were dismantled for winter and had open cockpits, making flight in minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit temperatures and gale force winds a death sentence. The plan to use a relay of dog sled teams across the Iditarod Trail was the only viable option. The relay begins on January 26. The serum left Anchorage by train and reached Nenana the next day. From there, Wild Bill Shannon took the first leg with his team. Temperatures dropped to minus 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Shannon ran beside the sled to stay warm, but frostbite set in and several dogs collapsed. He pushed on to the next handoff. Each musher covered between 24 and 55 miles, navigating through snowdrifts, frozen rivers, and dense forests. The serum was encased in metal cylinders, wrapped in protective insulation to prevent freezing. The trail was relentless. Winds whipped at 60 miles per hour. Visibility was often zero. Many of the mushers were Alaska natives, men like Edgar Callens and Tommy Patsy, experienced in these harsh terrains. They didn't seek fame. They responded to the call because people's lives depended on them. One musher, Charlie Evans, had 2 lead dogs die from exposure during his run, but continued anyway, carrying the serum and steering the sled alone. The reluctant hero, Togo Leonhard Sapala, perhaps the most skilled musher in the territory, was given the most dangerous and longest leg. He traveled over 260 miles round trip, almost twice what others covered. He crossed Norton Sound, where the shifting ice could fracture without warning. Leading his team was Togo, a 12-year-old Siberian husky known for intelligence and stamina. Sepala and Togo faced a near-impossible section of trail and survived gale winds and a near plunge into the freezing sea. Togo guided the team through some of the most treacherous terrain under brutal conditions. Without his leadership and endurance, the serum would have been delayed, costing lives. Modern historians and mushers widely agree that Togo, not Balto, was the true hero of the Serum Run. Togo was not young or flashy. He was experienced, reliable, and brave beyond measure. The final stretch. Balto's ride to fame. Gunnar Kaasen ran the final 55-mile leg into Nome with his lead dog Balto. The worst blizzard of the entire journey struck during this stretch. Winds knocked over sleds and landmarks vanished in the snow. Kaasen couldn't see the trail and had to trust Balto's instincts. At one point, a massive gust overturned the sled and buried the serum. Kaasen dug through the snow with bare hands to retrieve it. At 5:30 a.m. on February 2, 1925, Kaasen and Balto arrived in Nome. The serum had been delivered in just over 5 days, 7 days faster than the projected 2-week timeline. No vials were broken, no lives were lost among the mushers. The town immediately began administering the medicine, and the death toll was kept remarkably low for what could have been a catastrophic epidemic. Balto received national acclaim, quickly becoming a media icon. He was celebrated in parades, toured the lower 48 states, and was immortalized with a statue in New York's Central Park. But while Balto deserved credit, the deeper heroics belonged to the entire relay, and especially to Sepala and Togo. The legacy. The Serum Run wasn't just a medical success, it was a story of unity, sacrifice, and resilience. It highlighted the importance of indigenous knowledge, local expertise, and a deep connection between mushers and their dogs. It showed that when technology failed, human and animal endurance could triumph. The Iditarod Trail Sled Dog Race, established in 1973, commemorates this heroic event. Covering over 1,000 miles from Anchorage to Nome, it honors the legacy of the mushers and dogs who raced not for glory, but for the lives of children. Many modern mushers still consider it more than a race. It's a tribute to a defining moment in Alaskan and American history. For Americans who grew up during eras of hardship, be it the Great Depression, Cold War, or recent pandemics, the Serum Run story resonates. It's about courage in crisis, leadership without ego, and doing what's right no matter the personal cost. These aren't abstract values. They're the backbone of what we aspire to as a nation. Conclusion. The 1925 Serum Run to Nome stands as a powerful example of determination and teamwork. But more than that, it is a reminder that when the stakes are high and the odds overwhelming, it is often ordinary people and animals with extraordinary hearts who rise to meet the moment. There were no medals, no fame for most of the mushers. They didn't act for glory. They acted because someone had to, because lives hung in the balance. As we look back nearly a century later, we don't just honor the names like Sepala, Togo, Kaasen, and Balto. We honor the spirit of community, sacrifice, and courage that defines the best of who we are. In an age where challenges still come swiftly and unexpectedly, may this story remind us that resilience isn't born in comfort, but in crisis. The snow has long since melted from the trails they ran, but the path they carved with frozen hands, steadfast paws, and unwavering will still leads straight into the heart of what it means to be human. This is not just a piece of Alaskan history, it's American history, it's our history.